Welcome back to Foundry Talks. In this episode, I'm joined by Madison Rifkin, CEO and founder of Mount. We explore a creative concept she and her team developed called the Content Army. It's a fresh approach to travel marketing that connects businesses, short-term rentals, and content creators in a way that elevates both the guest experience and brand storytelling. Madison shares how the Content Army works, the impact it's having on visibility and bookings, and why this kind of creator collaboration might just be the key to helping travel brands stand out in a crowded space. Let's get into it. Welcome back to Foundry Talks. I'm Rachel Stoyanovsky, and today I am joined with Madison Rifkin, who is the CEO and founder of Mount. So Madison, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Good to be here.
So happy to have you with us. We've also obviously been following a little bit of your story and the amazing things you guys are doing over at Mount. But for listeners who may not be as familiar, will you tell us a little bit about your background and the origin of Mount?
Yes, it's definitely an interesting story. So I've been an entrepreneur my entire life. Started the original Mount when I was 12 years old.
Okay, I love it.
Because we pivoted a lot. But when I was 12, I invented a bike lock, got a patent for it, and that's kind of how this whole journey started. So our name legally, like on paper, is Mount Locks Inc., but we don't do anything with locks anymore.
I love it.
And then, kind of just did that for a while, went to college at Northeastern University, studied entrepreneurship, really to no one's surprise. And then used my 5 years there to really hone in on what I wanted to do, what I wanted to build. And coming out of college, Mount became a travel company. So we are in the travel space. What we were doing back then, which was this moonshot idea, which was to create a shared economy for travelers. So travel with a backpack, rent everything you need in destination from locals, and ran that for a while. It's actually how I ended up in the short-term rental space. We rooted that shared economy at Airbnb properties because we're like, well, if the guest is comfortable sharing a house, they'll be comfortable sharing a kayak, a bike.
Yeah.
And then eventually now, fast forward a few years, we are again slightly different, still in the travel space, but we are now I guess it's called the Content Army. And we work to create influencers from scratch. I can just kind of tell who's going to be a good one. Train them up through our program. And then we have a marketplace. So the marketplace matches these creators to businesses, independently owned, largely owned, whoever needs work with creators for either UGC content or influencer style content.
I love it. Okay, so tell me a little bit about that evolution from kind of what you had thought with shared equipment and now going into the influencer space. So I'm assuming that you felt or saw a gap in the market and you're like, wait a second, I can solve this. So how did that come about? What was that the initial problem you were trying to solve, or how has that vision evolved?
Yeah, so it's very much evolved. When we were this shared economy, we were working really closely with Airbnb hosts. I say Airbnb hosts because that's what people know them as, but if they hear this, they're going to be mad. They're called short-term rental hosts. So
okay,
I use that interchangeably. But so like an Airbnb host, we were working very closely with them and basically figured out that their problem was that they really couldn't operate like a hotel. They didn't have extra things they could offer their guests, no restaurant, no spa. And so when the pandemic hit, which is when I was working on all of this, they lost like 50% of their guests or more just because no one was traveling. But they didn't know how to capitalize on the guests that were staying there and like maximize that time. And so that's really the initial problem we were solving. It started with the shared economy where I'm like, well, you have a golf cart, you have a bike, let's rent that stuff, extra money. That crashed and burned a little just on the insurance side because it was really hard to insure that stuff. And, liability when someone hurts themselves, it was hard.
Or like loss of equipment. Someone crashes a golf cart.
Damage. That was a little easier to insure. It was actually more like the liability issue, injury. But what I learned from all of that is that the host still needed ways to earn extra money. And so because we couldn't be the shared economy, we actually started partnering with local businesses because as it turns out, they were already doing this. They've been doing it for years where they're renting out bikes. They're taking you on a donut tour, excursion, whatever it is. And I was like, okay, there's definitely something here. The businesses want to work with the properties want to work with the businesses. There's some sort of commission attribution model in there. And in doing that and in working with all of these small businesses, we grew out with that model to 300 markets in 8 months. We were working with like thousands of businesses, tens of thousands of properties. The key issue for selling and marketing any of these things was content. And no one had it because the business owners, you know, they've been around for a while, and just content is so new. So we realized, one, they didn't know how to work with influencers. Two, they didn't know how to do their own content for their own social media, let alone give us any sort of content to work with them. And so that, coupled with, I wanted Mount to be a huge consumer brand because we were discovering all this amazing stuff. I call them hidden gems, where I was like, we're also going to need influencers and content creators. And I really get fed up when I follow an influencer on TikTok, for example, love them. But then when they randomly represent a brand out of the blue that they don't align with, and I'm just like, well, yeah, they clearly paid you like $50,000 to do that. And then I'm like,
you've never actually been there.
No. And I'm like, I don't like that brand. Now I don't really like the influencer. And I'm like, okay, that's not how I want to grow Mount. And so the idea of the content army was actually born to help Mount solve its problems. And as I grew, home grew the product and our influencers, which are now huge influencers in the space, it worked for our brand on the consumer side. And I was like, well, what happens if, they want to make extra money? What happens if I connect them to our businesses and leverage them that way? And then the content army fully came full circle.
It's amazing. And it's such a tool because I think a lot of people who have these businesses or tour operators that have, you know, like a sailing excursion or something, they're so focused on just the operation of making sure that's all going that content is often at the back of their mind. So having this partnership with people who actually know what they're doing and know what kind of content is going to engage and just delivering that again and again and again is awesome. It's like such a needed thing. It seems like such a light bulb moment, like, hey, yeah, we can do this.
Totally. And you asked about like problems we solve too. What we found is that it solves so many problems. How, like, for the business, they get DMs all the time from people wanting free stuff that aren't even creators. And they're like, I don't even know what to do here, what to charge, what to pay. And then the influencers don't necessarily like pitching themselves. Like, that's actually not what they're good at. They're good at creating content, telling stories. So we just cut out all the hard stuff for everyone.
You're like, don't worry, I'll do the nitty gritty. You guys just go make the beautiful stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Love it. Okay. So out of all of that, I mean, I'm sure there's been many things, but what has been the most surprising thing on the journey so far of getting to where you are now?
Yeah. I mean, for us, there's been so many pivots, so many roadblocks we've ran into, hence the pivots and stuff you're just definitely not going to see coming. Like the Silicon Valley bank crash, we lost all our money for a few days. That sparked a pivot. And then honestly, I feel like we are at this point in a good way, a cockroach, because we just will not die. And like, we're going to make this work one way or another. And I think every time a pivot happens at Mount, we get that much closer to the like, holy shit, this is the $1 billion idea and it's going to fly quickly. So I don't know. It's kind of fun to watch.
Well, and it seems like with each pivot, things are shifting a little bit to better solve or better serve the whole purpose that you're building anyways.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny too, because we solved the problem internally for us and then realized, oh, everyone has this problem.
Yeah, let's now just deploy this to the masses because everyone's going to have the same issue. I love it. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so going back to the content army, let's talk about the LinkedIn post. That's what sparked this whole thing, by the way, was we saw your LinkedIn post. What really caught our eye, well, Trey, and then he sent it to me. He's like, wow, how do you think they did this? We should definitely have her on the podcast. You said that you created 5,000 pieces of content within 1 month. And I think that was from 2 retreats, one in Aruba and one in Jackson Hole. Yes. So walk us through what that looked like. Tell us more about this content army. What are the logistics? Who are they? How can people get to know them? Or maybe they want to become a member.
Yes. So yeah, I call it the content army because my whole vision was all of these people around the world coming together under the love of travel and then sub-niching with our brand pillars, which is sustainability, ethical, and responsible. We're very much, our slogan actually is travelers, not tourists. So that's kind of who we're uniting under this content army. And then it is very much for people that we found a few kind of subcategories, but people that want to get out of their 9 to 5. They are trying to become content creators, don't necessarily know how to do it. Then you have the people that are just starting. So they're like, I took the leap. I'm going to try and make content, but I don't know where to go from here. And then you have actually bigger creators, but they don't know how to monetize. So they don't know how to pitch themselves. They don't know what they should be charging. Like there's so many questions in this whole
It's kind of like the Wild West, we say all the time. We're like, influencer space is the Wild West.
Yeah. So to start this all, I actually put out my own TikTok video, and my hook was, can I hire you? And I explained I'm looking for traveling content creators, people that want to travel for free, like very idealistic. And I think that video got like 3 million views. It was insane. And we got a few thousand applicants to start. And then kind of we have this IP within Mount. It's I guess I can call it a survey, like for lack of better words, but that is the application. We want to know why you want to be a Mount steward. That's what we call you when you get in the content army. And then from there, you take my survey. And I can actually pretty much on the spot tell you if I can turn you into a creator or not.
Wow. Do they get those like right at the end of the survey? It's like, yes, no, or
no. So after that, I do like to meet with everyone. Like I, or Casey, who is our head of community, head of social media, will do it as well. And actually our first ever steward, Lily, does it now as well. It's a vibe check. It is community day. So we just want to make sure you're going to be a good fit that way.
Yeah.
But then, you get accepted, you're in the program. It has a minimal cost just so we can keep things running on the educational side. But that proprietary like survey is so crazy spot on. It's actually how I found Lily. She took it and I was like, Lily, have you ever thought of becoming a content creator? And she's like, well, maybe, I don't know. And so I just had her start posting, and 9 months later, she has over 50,000 followers on Instagram.
Wow. That's amazing. Yeah. Wow. Okay. So not to totally go back, but tell me a little bit about what you had them do to create 5,000 pieces of content in 1 month, or what that looked like.
So it's part of the program, the Content Army. So like we have 35 stewards right now. I think we've had over 10,000 apply. So we're very strict with who gets in. But when we go on a retreat, basically we've partnered with the property management company. So they host us at the house. We partner sometimes with the tourism board even, and they'll host us on some other things, local restaurants, and we're partnering with the local businesses. So jam-packed itinerary. Whole idea came actually off of the Tart trips that people that they post. I'm like, that's a really great idea. So
that people love and hate all at the same time.
And I'm just like, it's a PR storm of just genius. I like, sure. And I was like, yeah, Maureen, I'll be your number two. Like, I'll replicate this. That's how this whole thing is born. And so, when we go on a retreat, we have like 10 to 15 stewards come, depending on the size of the property. Yeah. And then for like 4 or 5 days, we're creating content pretty much nonstop. I mean, you sleep a little, but like, and it's not like a sweatshop. It is very much like we like being collaborative. We're all together. We're bouncing ideas off each other. We have people to be in content. Yeah. Also, when you just get it like they do, it moves so much faster than trying to train your friends and like, here's the angle, go take my photo. And so just during that, we're editing, we're reviewing each other's content. So each retreat produces about 2,500 pieces of content.
Wild.
We're also doing education at those retreats. And so, if you happen to catch the Mount Instagram or follow any of our stewards during the retreats, like you'll just see this content storm online happening. And then we also package it up into deliverables for all the brands and partners we work with as well. So they're benefiting too.
Amazing. Yeah. Well, I think any brand that has ever worked to create content understands the time it takes to create one piece of content. So to have that much come from one trip is super valuable. Or just even one experience, one time at a restaurant that's part of the itinerary on these trips, one time at an excursion, whatever, to have that much content is awesome, is amazing. Okay. So then you talked about the survey. What kind of questions are in the survey? How do you recruit them? I mean, obviously we know you're recruiting them through online. They're seeing everything. They're like, man, I want to be part of this. So they're applying, then they do the survey, but how else are you vetting them? And then what do you do to empower them to deliver on brand content?
Yeah. So the survey, I can't say too much because that is very much like our secret sauce. But it's not long. You can make it long if you like really study the questions, but no, it's 2 questions. It just asks you, I don't even remember exactly what it says, but something along the lines of like, you're just picking words. It's not even like analytical. It's just like pick all the words you associate yourself with, and then pick all the words, how you define yourself in a job, something like that. just so we can see a contrast, we like to see how detail oriented you are, like driven, like, if you are just going to be an entrepreneur, if you're going to be a creator, you have to have that drive, because otherwise
it falls flat.
You have to do it for yourself. So that's kind of how we look at it. And then education wise, what we have built is actually around WhatsApp. It's a community on WhatsApp. We all get to talk to each other. There's different channels in there. So whether you have immediate questions about rates, or, pitching, outreach, all of that stuff. And then we also have built, I guess you could call it a course, although that sounds really cringy because there's just so many people out there being like, I can turn you into an influencer. Try my course. This is very much me and Casey doing Zoom sessions with the stewards. We just happen to record them in case you come into the program later, which inevitably happens. And it's me and Casey, because we're both influencers. Like, I grew up as a food influencer back in the day when that was a thing. And Casey's done it since she was super young. So we're just sharing our knowledge. And we actually now have our first ever Mount mentor, Kenneth Fryer, who is a professional videographer and director for major companies. So depending on the requested topic, we do one at least once a month. And then they have this backlog to just kind of work through. And then we have our accountability calls, which we jumble people up, and like every 2 weeks our meeting to keep each other accountable, go through goals. I think that has been instrumental in the growth of everyone. They can meet one-on-one with Casey and I as well. And then the retreats really is where the magic happens, because yes, we're creating content, but we have education pieces there. So Casey, Kenneth, and I go on every retreat. Okay. We're doing in-person live sessions. And I think too, because everyone has a different niche as a creator, you're able to learn something different every time you go because you're going with different people. So I think really it's this community aspect. And one of our biggest creators, actually, and I can't claim that she became a creator on her own and joined the program later, but if you have a chance, look her up, because her name's Chloe Mitchell. I think her handle is Chloe V. Mitchell. Blew up in COVID because she was the DIY girl and was doing the She Shed. People will probably
love it.
And she came on our retreat this year in Jackson and was in Aruba and has been on many brand trips. And stated that this was by far the best one she's ever been on. And it was that community element of typically people feel pretty competitive with each other.
I can see that.
Program. Like we are all in it to help each other. We all want to win. Awesome. And she's like, I've never felt that before with creators. And I was like, well, yeah, here we are. That's what we're all about.
No gatekeeping. We'll share all the secrets.
Exactly.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay. So in your recent post, you emphasized prioritizing brand over leads or customer acquisition or funnels, which we found really refreshing and bold in today's performance obsessed landscape. So how do you tell us a little bit more about the philosophy, why you think that works? I would imagine there's a little bit of kind of takes the pressure off and lets the creator come up with original content that's a little more engaging, but tell us more about that.
Yeah, I guess one of my hot takes, I think marketing is done completely wrong and it's super old school. And that's why I like companies like Tarte that do it so differently. Thursday actually is another great one. They're a dating app company out of London. And it's just these founders and CEOs who see things so differently, where it isn't about attribution. It's not about ROI. You simply, if you're doing marketing correctly, you cannot track it. What is working and what is not working. And I think when Mount has had the most success, we are doing the craziest things. And I'm scrappy about it. Like, yes, I'm a startup founder, so I'm not paying crazy amounts of money to get this done. But, I'm not going to go for the traditional playbook. And in the industry that we're in, short-term rentals, the traditional playbook is spend $15,000 at each conference, get a booth, and just be boring. And I'm like, that is the worst waste of money. So what I do is I throw a fun event the day before, golf tournaments, yacht parties, all that stuff. Doesn't cost me too much, and everyone talks about it for the rest of the year. So I think that's the way I look at marketing, is like, what's going to be most disruptive? What's going to get the most people talking about my brand in an organic way? And we've never done a paid ad.
It's amazing.
So, yeah, I like that. And then we're pretty creative on TikTok as well. I can't take credit for that. That's all Casey. But I just took the reins off, because I think when you put constraints on creators where it's like, okay, I need this post to go viral, I need to get to 10,000 followers by the end of the month, it does the exact opposite. It's too much pressure. And you can't have numbers like that with a creative person. So I learned that lesson, took all of the restraints off Casey and was like, I don't care what you post. Like, here's our brand. Stay within it. Don't stay within it. Just let me know how creative you can get. You know, it's what Ryanair does. Duolingo. They're all so creative on TikTok. So I'm like,
okay. Yeah. So if, you know, trying to then find, or I guess I should say like trying to determine what the attribution is so fuzzy, how are you measuring success of brand investments?
Yeah. So I don't mind that it's fuzzy. I know probably anyone listening to this that's like a COO or like numbers is like having a heart attack right now.
They're like, no, everyone stop listening.
Yeah. I really think it's brand awareness and amplification. So for me, the way I measure that is how many people are coming up to me and being like, oh my God, I've heard of Mount. And then I'll be like, oh, where? You know, and it's like, I think the other great metric when you're a startup is people thinking that you are so much bigger than you actually are. Like behind the scenes, we're a team of 4 people. We do a lot to get done, but I think if you were to ask anyone if they didn't look on LinkedIn or something like that, they'd be like, oh yeah, 50-person team. Like they must be huge. I measure it that way. And then you can also measure it in sales. It just takes a lot longer. Like we have customers who come in now who I met 4 or 5 years ago on the first ever yacht boat thing we did. And they're like, yeah, I met you then. I thought you were incredible. I didn't know what you did. So I waited a few years. Now I know. Now I'm ready.
Now I get it.
I was always following you guys. So I think it's stuff like that too that's helpful.
Yeah. So so you work with the content creator, the content army, and then obviously you're working with the small businesses. So you kind of like pair up the content army with the businesses. And then has there been any surprises with bookings, or do you see any of that from the short-term rental side? Like the growth in bookings, or like how the content that's being created is impacting that?
Yeah. So I'll walk you through the whole thing because I think it'll kind of be a good picture of how we track attribution in bookings, because we do track it for this specifically. Yeah. So basically, if you're a business, so you could be a restaurant, you could be an experience operator, property, hotel, whoever you are, we'll work with you if you need content. Like that's just the bottom line. You sign up for an account with us, join the marketplace. There's like a minimum fee just because we don't want to flood the marketplace with people just looking and not actually buying. So I think it's like $50 to $100 a month. It's nothing crazy. Then you get 3 jobs that you can apply to basically or submit to. First one is just one-time $500 fee, get matched with our creator, and get 1 UGC video plus raw assets.
Okay.
A good way to start with us. Second is get matched with an influencer. So we do have 2 different tracks based on the size of that, but that's $1,500 as of right now. And you get matched with an influencer and you get some UGC stuff as well, get some deliverables. And then the last one is $5,000 a month. And that one you get us. So you get matched with a creator, a steward every month. You're also getting strategy meetings every month. You're getting a lot of content, but we're telling you how to use the content because we figured out a lot of people buy content.
And they're like, what do I do? Where do I post this?
So that's really for the people that want to build out that organic strategy, but don't know how to do it. And so we have a few customers we're doing that with right now. Bites of Boston is one of them out in Boston, woman-owned food tour company, coolest company out there if you need a food tour. We've been working with them for about 9 months now. Their following went from, I think they had around 3,000 followers. They're about to hit that 20,000 follower threshold.
Incredible.
And we put in attribution for them. So there's trackable links in their TikTok and their Instagram. We hooked up Google Analytics so we can actually see. And then the how did you hear about us actually is quite helpful.
Yeah.
When they're completing the booking. So we can actually see every month how much content they're posting and then how much they're making. So that tracks all the way through. And like one of our other clients, I want to say their specific name, it's something like River Rafting Arizona. They're like a big company that goes down the Grand Canyon. They got matched with 2 of our creators. So they did that middle tier twice.
Yeah.
And Megan just did all her posts. All of them, went viral. They're seeing so many bookings now. Wow. A little harder to track because they didn't do a code, but they did do a how you hear about us. So like you can definitely feel that. And Lily goes, I think, in a few weeks. So another one to track all the way through.
Amazing. That's incredible. And Yeah, I feel like there's just so much opportunity, especially for companies who are like, okay, I know that I want to work with an influencer. And we even talked to a lot of clients who are like, I get so many requests, but I don't even know what to do with them.
Yep.
Like, I don't know how to vet them. I don't know what's fair. I don't know what to do. So that's so cool. So what would you say? And I don't know if maybe you don't know this off the top of your head, but is there like a gold standard for how much content that businesses should be putting out there to get a certain amount of bookings or to like really see that increase? Like, what would you, if someone was just like, how much content should I even be putting out there? And obviously the quality of the content, what it actually says matters, generally speaking.
I think if you're going a full-blown strategy to really drive bookings organically, you need to dedicate at least 6 months. And I would say consistency is key. So you need to be posting every day.
Every day.
And it has to be quality content. It can't be good. And within that 6 months, you'll find what style works the best for your specific brand and the algorithm and what works. And then from there, you can ramp down. But like Bites of Boston, for example, we played around with a lot of different content types, trends even. And we're like, okay, what's working? Thing that works the best for them is one of their tour guides, Jillian. She will go out and find the best bite of Boston. So it's a play on their words.
Yeah.
And highlight that dish, that drink, whatever it is, in like a 60-second voiceover. So that is the piece of content that we do now, and we know it works. So we found that, and now they just know what to do.
Amazing. It's amazing. So yeah, a little trial and error, but they can find it. Okay, so what are some of the biggest lessons you've learned from scaling not only a tech company, but also a brand in the travel space?
Yeah, it's so funny. I like to say I built Mount backwards because the brand actually came first. But I was a huge believer, like brand is the hardest thing to build. So you can build a great company, but if you don't start with a good brand, it's hard to go backwards. Even if you go through a rebrand. And to be a company that is of the caliber of Meta, which is funny because people still call it Facebook or Apple or, whatever it is. Yeah. We need both. And so I was like, okay, I need a strong brand and I want to grow it organically and I want it to be like a household name. So that's really the track Mount the brand is on. In terms of what I've learned in like scaling a tech company and all of that stuff is like, there's no one way to do it. There's no one right way to do it. Everyone has their different path. And it's not as easy as people say it is. Like Mount is 4 years in now and we probably have another 6 to get to where I want to be massive game changing. Yeah. Crazy way to set expectations. I feel like people think they can do it in a year or two because that's here.
No, there's so much more sweat equity behind it all.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give to someone that was trying to do another startup in the travel space? And maybe with limited resources or like what is like one thing you wish someone would have told you? Yeah,
honestly, the big thing I wish I would have known if I ever do this again, I know now. You do not have to go out and raise money to start a company. The smarter thing, and the thing I would do on the side, if you have a full-time job or, not making money right now, would be to just put together some sort of MVP. And even if you think this is going to be a software product, don't use software. Do the MVP without it.
Okay.
And then figure out what that is and what works and then scale. So like, for example, for this Content Army thing, the everything I just described very much could be a tech product in a marketplace element. We don't use any tech right now. It's all manual. And we've been doing that for a year and a half. It will eventually be a tech product, but like this MVP, which I just like recently had the epiphany. I was like, oh, I did build this MVP. Started out as an internal tool for Mount, has now become this thing everyone else wants. And everyone else is trying to figure out how the hell did I build it? Because like, this is a crazy way to build a marketing channel.
Yeah. And you're like, don't tell, I haven't actually built it yet. It's all manual, but we'll get there.
I didn't need tech. We even have engineers and they're working on other stuff. But it's a great way to get started because when you take money, no matter if it's VC, angel, family, friends, taking it to learn is so expensive. But taking it to grow where you're taking 500,000 and you're going to maybe turn that into 2-3 million, like that's a very smarter way to do it.
It's awesome. I love that. All right. Okay. And then on the other side, what mistakes have you made and grown from in marketing and partnerships?
Oh man, we've learned so many. Honestly, just in this whole connection to influencers and content creators. Like, yes, we were doing it ourselves, but we've learned so much. Like when we first did a deal and I connected 2 of our creators to a brand, we forgot to include like expenses and travel. And so the creators lost money on that deal because they're like, Maddie, we didn't think about any of this. I was like, fair point. We did not think about any of that. But now that's all out there. Also, like, didn't think a lot about when you deliver the content, what happens with it. And a lot of the early brands didn't use it correctly or didn't know how to use it. So they were afraid to and didn't. And I was like, you guys just paid for all this. Like, I think you should use it. So
yeah, let's get it up.
Where that last tier comes from so they can sign up for some strategy and consulting, that type of stuff. And then, yeah, I feel like those are big mistakes. I don't know if there's anything. I mean, there's probably countless ones I can't think of right now.
Yeah. Is there a founder or a marketer in the travel space or tech space, I guess, that really inspires you? Or it kind of sounds like you've kind of been your own inspiration since a 12-year-old who develops and patents something when they're 12.
Crazy kids.
I love it.
Yeah, I love LinkedIn for that reason, because I follow founders and they post about their ideas or TikTok or whatever it is. And I'm like, I think I could do that, but I always do it in a different way where like they gave me the initial idea and then I'm like, how can I take that and make it my own? So I already mentioned them, but the founder of Thursday, I'm going to forget his name, which is terrible. I want to say it's George. But he does the craziest stuff to market his company. And just for context, they started as a dating app company, obviously very saturated, struggled for like 4 years, and now have spun into a dating events company. So you just buy a ticket, everyone is single. I'm like, that's real, and it's scaled like no other. But one thing they did in the early days is they got into the merch side of things, and they're like, if you're single, wear this green wristband, or it was a ring or something.
So and everyone knows.
Yeah, and it went viral like around the world. And this was probably like 4 years ago. But to this day, if you like mention that, people know what I'm talking about, which is wild. Yeah. But it didn't correlate that to the actual business Thursday. And so people think they're different companies. And I think that's funny.
I love it.
But crazy stuff like that. I've just never been afraid to like push the boundaries and like challenge as to like, why is it done this way when it should be done or could be done a different way?
Yeah. Well, and I really liked what you said about people thinking the company is so much bigger than it actually is. I think you said you have a team of 4. And I think there's something to that often is intimidating for people. They think, oh man, like there's just this big company. And I think sometimes it's almost like this limiting belief that you have to have everything figured out before you get started. But I think what's so cool about what you've built and what I'm sure countless other founders would share is that you just got to start somewhere. Just do it. You'll kind of figure it out. Like this wasn't even your initial plan when you started things, and look how it's unfolded to what is such a brilliant idea. And so I think I love that you shared that. I think that a lot of people have that same feeling like, yeah, it's just this massive thing, but really everyone's just people trying to figure it out as they go. Some just take the plunge a little bit quicker than others.
Yeah, exactly.
Outside of Thursday and Duolingo, are there any other brands outside of travel that you really admire for their unique brand and or marketing?
Yeah, I mean, I would say Tarte, the makeup company.
Yeah.
Whether you like the retreats or not, like the Tripping with Tartes, like it's a phenomenal brand. And her story is also incredible.
I think they really like drive home that no press is bad press.
Yeah. And I'm like, I mean, it makes sense. People are talking about you. I'm also a believer of that. I'm like, people are talking about you. Who the hell cares?
Yeah.
If it's good vibe, yeah, she's another awesome one. I'm trying to think where else I get inspiration these days. This is kind of off the cuff, but how do you feel about trends that you see? Like, are there any across social that you're like, oh, this was so lame, or any that you guys have tried and joined the bandwagon and been like, that was actually great, that was successful? I would say we don't hop on trends as much as we have done in the past. Sometimes we'll do like funny little videos, but I don't think from a brand perspective, hopping on a trend is going to do anything for you other than maybe a little hit of virality, but it's only because all the other trend videos are going viral. Like I more use social media to build communities, to find your community. And I do think that's the secret of TikTok. It's like you're going to find whatever niche you're meant to find. So I just want to make sure we're doing that. And the one semi-trend thing we did a few years ago on TikTok that totally worked And we still do it every year now, which I think is so fun. But we post a Christmas bonus video. So Casey posts it. I give her some incentive. And I'm like, here's your bonus. And then everyone loves it. They look forward to it every year.
Love it.
It's totally legit. We do follow through on it, but I think, that one works well. People try and copy it and then it doesn't work for anyone else.
You're like, we own this. This is just for us. Okay. And then lastly, most underrated travel destination you visited recently, or I guess ever?
Oh my gosh, what a question. Had
to end with a bang.
Yeah, wow. I feel like, I don't know, because I've been so many places, but none of them feel underrated because I went there because I saw it somewhere. But like some of the cooler places I've been recently where I was like, oh, I would totally live here, like Singapore, 100%. If it wasn't on such a crazy time zone, I would be there in a heartbeat. I think that one more people should check out. Like, I know Japan is really hot right now, but why not expand to other places in the region? Yeah. And then I feel like not underrated, but I went at a funny time of year. I went to Iceland right between spring, like as winter was ending. So spring was starting. So it was still cold and snowy, but different parts of the island weren't as snowy. And it was not crowded because everyone goes either in summer to see the puffins or dead of winter to see the northern lights. So I was like, oh, it's kind of fun.
Yeah, this is nice. Not so packed.
Yeah, totally.
I love it. Well, Madison, thank you again for your time with us today. The insights you shared were just so valuable, and we're so excited to see what else comes from the Content Army. We'll be following along closely. And if any creators are listening, where should they go to try to get in the Content Army?
Yes. So we have a website. Don't laugh at the URL because it's a legacy URL, but it's rentsmount.com.
Okay.
Go there, click the little drop down, and then it says Content Army. That's your site.
Awesome. I love it. And then I'm sure brands can find information there if they want to partner with the Content Army. I do have to say, we watched your video and it's awesome. Or the film. We thought it was
brand film?
Yeah, your brand film. We loved it. It was awesome. So we'll make sure to link all of that in the show notes. And if you want to check out more of Foundry Talks, visit us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts.